as everybody knows right now, we've been covering a real major story. The young man lost his 4-year-old daughter, and we was the first radio station. Actually, this song wasn't even gonna be released yet, but the father gave us permission to go and release this song that he dedicated to his 4-year-old girl.
Bless his heart.
Uh,
Bless his heart.
Last night, last night was the first night that we released it.
Super excited.
And I definitely appreciate you guys for allowing.
Yes, thank you for letting us play this. Thank you for letting us share your story. Thank you for letting us put this in the foresight of everyone's mind because it is critically important. I think we're coming up on a critical time right now. So please, without further ado, let's share the song.
And the song is titled "I Love You," and this song is actually written by the father of the 4-year-old girl.
If you ever lost somebody that you love, God bless their soul. Got to be strong in this life, so to survive. I can't live without you. Why we gotta die? Why? I felt the money always coming first. Should have been got right inside of her. So wait until you see somebody that hurt. Why you always hurt? I just wanna tell you, I love you. Why do we gotta die? Why do we gotta hurt? We coming up on the one. They bury us in the dirt. Why do we pay it? On the surface, ain't nothing free. Why do we gotta say out of mind, out of time, out of your memory? Why do we take our time instead of trying to take a minute? Why we living on this planet? So many choices to make. Don't know what I can take. I lose somebody I love so dearly. Screaming up to the sky 'cause I'm missing you. Hope you hear me. Now you alive. 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 Why we gotta die? Why you money always coming first. Till the day I got her right inside of her. Don't wait until you see somebody down at her. Why you always hurt me? I just wanna tell you. I wanna tell you. I love you. I love you. Yeah. Never ever feel like nobody. Love you. Don't wait till it's too late to tell somebody. I love you. See you while you dead. You probably you great. You sit to your brother. Cause there's nothing to easy to love. You when you stare at the grass. All of your family, all of your friends. Kiss them like another love you love until the end of time. Now you alive. Now you alive. Now you alive. Now you alive. Now you alive.
Talk you live.
Hey, how are you? Welcome to Dick Liberty, All Things American. Caller?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks. My name is Michelle Bland, and I'm calling in reference to Michael Garrett, his daughter that got killed.
Right.
I just was I would just like to say that I know what he's going through. My son was murdered, shot 12 times in the back.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I saw my son laying there 7 hours dead. I know what he's going through, and I want to be a support system to him. Our justice system and our legal system always fails us. But, all I can say, my heart is heavy, my heart is broken. I know what he's going through, and I just would like to reach out to him and be a support system to him.
Right.
I got a foundation. I'm willing to do whatever I have to do.
Okay.
If you need help, I'm here. And he said I can be contacted at 478
Okay.
365 2214.
That's 478-365-22. And the last two, ma'am?
2214.
14. And what was the name of the foundation, ma'am?
And my name, my foundation is My Angel Gabriel, Gone But Not Forgotten.
Okay.
And I would love to reach out to him and try to communicate with him and keep him in the support team. I know it's hard because it's hard on me. So I just want to reach out and be some kind of help or kind of way. And
Yes, ma'am. I completely understand.
And my heart goes out to him.
I think the hearts across America right now are heavy, and I think they are very saddened by these types of actions that seem to occur on a daily basis, not once in a while. This happens a lot. I know that Dilly has his own personal experiences, nothing this traumatic, dealing with DCS, and I know that the people, it's clear that relatives and family members of Mr. Garrett contacted even the federal level to ensure that something was done about this, and this is a tragedy that could have been avoided. We completely feel you, and we are so grateful that you're willing to reach out to Mr. Garrett and to help him. We're actually hosting an event on the 31st that I was going to ask Mr. Garrett if we could actually do something for him there as well, right here in Winter Park, so that we can help be a support system for him and build a support system for him so that we can address these issues that the government seems to be failing on repeatedly. It's so sad,
Repeatedly is an understatement, unfortunately, and this tragic situation right here is just really, really. As I spoke to Junior with the Hood News Global, he knows how my heart is so set on these types of situations that are. These shouldn't be happening when the system is failing each and every one of us.
Yeah.
And it's super tragic, and it has failed me so. Not to this point. I couldn't even imagine going to this level of even losing a child. I have 7 children myself, and losing one would be so traumatic. And that's why I'm so heartfelt about this. And I can't even imagine what you're going through, or what you went through, or what Mr. Garrett has gone through, or currently going through. And that's why we want to throw this tribute out there to
Mr. Garrett.
Yeah, Mr. Garrett, because he deserves that.
He put his heart and his passion and his soul into that music. That was his daughter. That was his whole life.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine losing my son. I've lost many, many friends, but I could never imagine losing my son.
Yeah, I feel, and Gabriel was my middle son, and the system failed me as well. I lost him, just the system failed me, so I know what he's feeling. I just know how devastated he is, and to be there and to kiss your child for the last time, and knowing once they hit that ground, it's all over.
Yes.
So,
I personally just had one of my. If you haven't heard our story, Josh and my story from the beginning, we're both two Marine vets that are retired, and we have lots of Marines, and they're our brothers and our sisters. And I personally had one that was under my charge for the longest time, and I have the utmost respect for him. And his daughter was tragically killed in a car accident 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and yeah, it was at nobody's fault. Unfortunately, it was just one of those unfortunate things, and that's why I like I told you before. I have 7 children. I couldn't imagine trying to put my own into the ground.
And the saddest part too, I look at this and the pain and everything that he's going through right now. He still has to face the PTSD of this whole event. As a vet, I know what that's like too, and that's you don't wish that on anybody. You don't.
No, I don't even wish it on my worst enemy.
No.
Nobody should have to bury their child.
No,
Absolutely not.
absolutely not.
And even for the systems, the report was there. I mean, the report was there. Nobody stood up. The law enforcement did come in. Defects didn't do anything. The report was being done, and nothing was did. And this child didn't even want to go home to her mother. She kept telling her daddy, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
What sickens me the most, and I'm sorry, Josh, I
No,
interrupted you,
go ahead.
is that when you say report, you said it reports. And it's not just one. It's several reports. And that's what that's what disgusts me is that one report we can look back on a little, that throws up a little yellow flag. When you have multiple reports, that should throw up red flags everywhere. And unfortunately, the system is so broken, and it has been for so long.
Yeah.
And that's what Josh and I we want to advocate for stuff like that, to where we can try to do something. As long as our main focus was on vets, but stuff like this really gets to the both of us, because
It gets to us because we're vets, because we're parents, because we don't fight for these freedoms for them to be abused to this extent. It's abuse of the system too. That's part of the breakdown. It's ridiculous. It is just absolutely ridiculous. And everything he's going to have to face. I mean, when I'm looking at the report and it says it went to the federal level. When it goes to a federal level, what more does it take for action to happen? What more do you need? I don't understand.
that is the big question. Why? We shouldn't have to repeatedly ask this question why to the judge, to the attorneys, and as we were talking with Junior before we started the show, it's like, why is the system so jacked up to where we can't fix this? The first thing Junior and I looked at each other and we said, it's all about the money.
It is.
It's all about
It is
the money.
all about the
That's
money.
it.
It is all about the money.
It's all about these lawyers. It's all about these judges that get appointed. It's if you have the money, they're going to make more money.
Yeah.
And I've spent personally myself over the past 7 years fighting to see just 2 of my children. I've spent over $50,000.
Wow.
$50,000
$50,000.
just to have a regular relationship with my 10-year-old and my 9-year-old, and they live less than 100 miles from me, so it shouldn't be that difficult. And and that's why I feel for this Mr. Garrett to even, you could tell that his heart and soul was his daughter, and trying to and to let the system to keep failure, even with DCF. I've had DCF at my house 4 times from my ex, and they have found nothing, absolutely nothing in my house. And they on the the third and fourth trip, they even said, Mr. Dillingham, AKA Dilly, they came out and said, we're just going to walk to your house. We're in no situation. We're out. Well, even the DCF lady was like, we know that you are a good a good father. You're a good person. We could tell by just your general appearance and the things you do around here. It's like, okay, that's great. So our taxpayer dollars are coming out to pay these people to come to my house for 2 hours. So we sit down and we talk to do stupid paperwork, stupid amounts of paperwork. These people have better things to do to go.
Yeah, like how much time was wasted on a case like you that could have been directed to a case like this where
Exactly.
it fucking matters.
Yeah.
Yes.
I apologize for my language. I'm a little bit passionate about this.
And that's,
And it comes down to a point, a lot of the social workers don't want to get off their butt. They don't want to get in the car. They don't want to take the ride. They don't want to do the paperwork. They prefer to sit behind the desk, talk on the phone. I mean, they're just not doing anything.
I don't use the word blessed very often, and I'm going to use that word blessed. I was blessed with the social workers that came out. 3 awesome ladies. One lady came out twice, and they were so phenomenal. And they were like, they're just shaking their heads at me. Mr. Dillingham, what did you do to make your ex so upset? And I'm like, I have no idea. I think that she's just so jealous in what my life is now, that I'm happily married and being successful and doing what I have to do and just being happy in life and living a positive life. And they turn around and say, we have better things to do. Our time is limited. Their time is so limited because they have so many cases to take care of.
Yes.
And that's what disgusts me when we were watching this case on the video and discussing it throughout the group here. It's like they could have spent that extra 2 or 3 hours and gone out to Mr. Garrett's house or
The mother's house,
The
the
mother's
boyfriend's house.
yeah.
I mean, the kid was hiding in the freaking closet, and then they would play it off like she was, oh, she's cute, but she's shy, and she's bashful, and blah, blah, blah. That mother needs to be beaten. She needs to be beaten. I don't care. If you don't like my stance, I'm sorry. I apologize, but that's my stance. She needs to be beaten.
no need to apologize.
That man,
Yeah.
he needs to be beaten. He needs to be beaten.
Yeah.
I've had a traumatic brain injury. I couldn't imagine a 4-year-old having
in
that.
the courtroom, like, it's okay.
Yes.
It doesn't bother her. You know, hey, it is what it is.
And
And
then
how can you call 911 and say that you took her to Red Lobster and this started happening after you took her to Red Lobster?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was just going to bring that up. Like,
The line was inconsistent.
yeah, it's not food poisoning. Your boyfriend can barely get his story straight when he calls the damn operator. Then he jumbles, so you have to get on the phone and try and save it. You act like you don't give a shit because you obviously don't. I don't get it. I think you need to be beaten. I think you need to be flogged. Why don't we bring back some of this public stuff? I mean, Trump puts out a death penalty for opioid dealers, which I happen to agree with because we see it in our neighborhood too goddamn much. But why don't you put out some penalties for this? Public execution, flog them, do something, bring it back because right now it is out of control.
Yeah.
It is out of control.
As you can see, it's very near and dear to both of us, and it's disgusting. So,
And then you have parents who are too afraid to even discipline their kids because DCS gets called on them by someone else who's not even involved in the situation, not the family members who actually know what the hell's going on, but someone who's not even involved, wasting the DCS time so they can't address the situations that are going on, like this situation with Mr. Garrett and him losing his daughter. It's tragic. It is tragic.
I just think this could have all been prevented. This little anger could have still been here. They just didn't nobody really pay her attention but the school teacher. She was on it. She was making reports, sending her to the hospital, and nobody followed up. It was just like, hell, she's not my spouse, and I got time to deal with that. But this child lost her life, 4 years old,
She
to
did.
be traumatized, to be burnt, to be blunt force trauma to the head, to be malnourished. That child was suffering daily.
Yes. Yes.
Daily.
the disgusting is
Then somebody needs to get a gun and stick it up their ass and blow their head off.
I
I agree
100%.
with you 100%.
that's an understatement. That's an understatement.
Yes.
That's we couldn't agree with you more on that.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your calling, man. Is there anything else that you have to share? Anything that you, or do you want to just get with us after the show and we'll contact you and coordinate something for a March 31st event to show the support
Yes.
for Mr. Garrett and
Yes,
his tragic accident?
that'll be fine. I live in Georgia, near Macon, Georgia. But
Okay.
I travel a lot with Sandra Bland and Sandra Bland's mom, Trayvon Mark's mom,
Okay.
Michael Brown dad. So I'm in connection with them. So whatever I need to do, I'm willing to be here supporting all the way through this.
Well, we are greatly humbled and honored to have such a generous gesture, and we will definitely be in contact with you. Thank you again so much for the support, and thank you for calling in. It is great to hear the perspectives of those who are listening, and we hope to get some more calls. I think we have a couple coming in, so we'll be getting on that soon. I want to thank you again, man. Like I said, we'll reach out to you. Do you have any parting for do?
Sorry for your loss. It is such an under. There's nothing I could say or do to help you with what you went through as well. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. But the last thing I can say is thank you for the call and the support. That if we all support each other on situations like this, it brings us all that much closer, and to have a greater understanding of what life is really about. So.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Really well said. Well said.
Yeah. Well, I'm here. Give me a call, and I'll do what I have to do. Because I'm here.
We will, ma'am. Thank you again so much, and I know Mr. Garrett will greatly appreciate your support.
Yes. Thank you, and God bless y'all.
You too.
You too, ma'am. Have a great night.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye bye. All right, guys. This event I'm talking about. Okay, on March 31st, there's going to be an event at the Showalter Stadium. We did this in the past. We had great sponsorship. We had Fantastic Sam's from One Daytona out there. They're giving free haircuts to vets. We have something like that again going on. We had Hook News Global out there. They're doing live broadcast for the radio show. We had NFL players out there. World class athlete, gold medal winning Olympians.
Super Bowl champions.
Super Bowl champions. Yeah, it was totally amazing. All associated with the World Alumni Association and Mr. Hampton. And he's been so generous that he's actually sponsoring schools to partake in this event. So if you're a school and you're interested and you want to partake in this event and you're in DeLand, Volusia, Orange, Seminole County, anywhere you're at, we would love to have you there. And Mr. Hampton would love to have you there. I can put you in contact with him, get you all the information you need. We would like to have Mr. Garrett there, and we want to be and create a community for him, a support community.
Exactly. I want to send my biggest invitation to Mr. I'm getting all choked up because I couldn't imagine what he's going through, and I want to send my heartfelt invitation to him as well. Same with Mr. Josh and Junior. I'm sure that everybody around would be doing the same thing. So.
Yes, and that's what it's really all about here with Dick Liberty, All Things American. This is an American issue. I'm being told we have a caller. Hi, welcome to the show. Welcome to Dick Liberty. What's your name?
Hello?
Hello, yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I feel so sad, okay?
Yes, it's very sad for this gentleman, man. We all feel very, very sad for him.
Take it seriously. God will give you another chance.
Yes. Have you had a similar experience in your life, ma'am?
Say it again.
What are you calling for, actually, ma'am? Or where are you calling from?
From New Jersey.
From New Jersey?
Yes.
Yes. Are you guys doing okay up there?
Yeah, I feel so sad about it.
It is a very sad situation. I couldn't
Yes,
imagine
I
having to
feel
go through
so
that.
pain. It's like I can't control it. It's so painful.
Yes, it is a painful situation.
When I see the video, I was so crying, and I feel so pain. I don't like it. But the mother, so so it's nice.
Have you had a similar experience to that?
What?
Have you had a similar experience or no? Or do you know someone who's gone through a similar experience?
On Facebook. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for expressing your support and calling in and sharing your perspective. We greatly appreciate it. Yeah, it's nice to know. And I know Mr. Garrett feels good that people are giving him so much love and respect for what he was robbed for. So thank you again for the call. We greatly appreciate it.
Hey, take you to go to you know that chat.
Right.
Go to chat.
Yes, you do. Well, thank you again. Yes, ma'am. Thank you again.
I know it's not easy to subscribe, but
Hang on. We have another call coming. Hello. Hi. Welcome to Dick Liberty.
hello,
Yes.
how are you?
Good. How are you? And what is your name?
Fine. My name is Valerie Good. I'm calling from Benny, Arkansas.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry this father has to go through this. I have grandchildren.
Yes.
They're their age. And my oldest grandchild was evicted, and they was going to return back home last year.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, I can't imagine what it's going through because I'm not here. But I know with children, this is so sad.
It is very
How
sad.
can a mother conclude with somebody to take their children out of their child alcohol? This is not right. It's not fair.
It is not. And it's not
He
even,
is a good, he was a good father. I don't even know his name, but I'm a 59 woman. I'm 47 years old. I've been through death, the family, myself, I almost died myself. But a child taken out of this world for nothing,
for no
for no
reason.
reason at all.
No reason whatsoever.
Because whatever you want, as an adult, you want your freedom, whatever, you could just volunteer to give your child over to your father.
Yes, you could have. And he wanted him. I mean, this
Right,
is so
right.
terrible.
It's that simple. You could went on about your life, whatever you want to do.
You,
You could dance on the rooftop, flip the top. I don't care what she could have done. But just take your child out and allow somebody else to talk you down into doing something like that. All I can say, Lord, have mercy.
I'm gonna have to stick up for Mr. Garrett on this, and I truly believe that's what he tried to do, and this is where I believe the system totally failed him. So,
Totally feel him. Totally feel him.
absolutely, 100%.
and
I'm an advocate for, abused women and children. I work with the Arkansas justice system in my rural Arkansas. They failed a lot of children here too. And then when something happened, now everybody want to draw attention, want to draw attention. When we needed help and tried out to help, nobody didn't want to help us.
Yeah, that's the sad fact of this country. We're so
Right.
reactive, it's goddamn ridiculous. We're not all the pro action is talk.
It's stupid. The father wants to be a good father and take care of the kids. Nobody wants to give them a chance. But then as soon as they're not around or not in the picture, we can be going downgrade them.
I totally believe that we're past the reactive phase of situations like this. We should, the system already should
It's
be.
time to open our eyes. It's time to quit telling the deaf ear and closing our eyes.
Exactly.
Yes,
Bingo.
To this. It don't make no sense.
it takes.
You can stand up in the courtroom, let your nose, and y'all gonna stand together on this. But every day that you go to sleep, there's karma. There's a man upstairs on house. It's gonna be justice. They might not be physical death. Justice here on earth, but there's a man that got a house. That would be justice for her.
The other sad part too is there's so many fathers out there like Mr. Garrett who have to fight
Right.
tooth and nail when they're
Right.
not bad fathers. They're not bad people. It's the playing of the
Right.
system.
They got deadbeat. He wanted a child. He knew what was going on. The baby told what was going on, but nobody just sitting like this. I just shut it down, turn the lights off, and close the door, the back door, the front, and stuff, and just say, you know what, don't even worry about it. Now she's gone. A baby didn't have to leave this earth like this.
She didn't choose this life. She didn't choose it whatsoever.
Right. She didn't choose it because it come here. But I'm so glad that I have my grandchildren's mother and my daughter don't have a mentality like this. But sitting around with foolish people like this.
What would you do as a citizen to someone like this?
If I did, you said, what would I do?
What would you do as a citizen to someone like this, to people like this who do this to children?
This is such an outstanding question.
You're talking about it, you don't even use it. It's not even a stepchild. They don't represent anything.
No, they don't. No.
I couldn't be a judge, a prosecutor, a judge. Because I generally, I'll go by the law, but I'm going to see with no foolishness. People that come to the courtroom 50 now. You don't deserve no foolishness. You took out a your 4-year-old child, and you allowed some man to come in and compete. You could do whatever, however you want to put it on that. You both coward.
Yes, they are cowards. That is just.
This is the only child that this woman had.
Yes, and she obviously had. I don't know what the hell do you have to be thinking? What the hell do you have to be thinking to do that? Don't get me wrong. I've been very pissed off at my boy before. I've been very pissed off at my boy. But I'm not going to kill the kid. I'm not going to put him in a closet.
Yes.
I'm not going to.
I just so compassionate. It's not that I'm loud when I'm trying to be ghetto. My voice gets very loud when I'm compassionate about something.
No.
When I'm deep and compassionate about something like this.
Yes.
It drives me up.
And mine does too. Believe me. Believe me. Dilly is the same way.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
get so fired up about this kind of stuff because it's.
I mean, when I first heard this story, I'm like, wow, really?
Yeah.
There would be no room in that courtroom for me, and we just let the courtroom. It would be from smoking the city, and I'd be hotter than fish grease. Somebody did something to one of my kids. My kids are great kids.
Yes.
That's all I got to say. I'm all kids. Y'all be blessed. Y'all stand up for this man, wherever he's from, wherever this, this
Mr. Garrett?
We got to stand together.
Yes.
We got to get back to our roots. It takes a village to raise children.
It does take a village to raise children.
That's still old program, and it's still reality. You can't just leave these kids, all these kids. You never want to be kids. They don't even want to raise themselves. They don't have to care themselves. They got to have a kid.
Yes, you heard this woman here, correct? Everybody heard this woman. It takes a village to raise kids. It doesn't take an app on the freaking iPhone or the iPad to raise your goddamn children.
No.
And it doesn't.
We come in a direction with the raise our kids, but we do have to get them common sense.
Yes, we do.
But
And
you just can't let nobody talk to you and kill your kid. Whatever reason was she gave the guy she took care of a while, and there's no reason.
there's no reason. There's no excuse for this.
It is unacceptable.
It is totally unacceptable. It is absolutely
Whatever reason,
unacceptable.
whatever excuse she gets so much too, the greatest money train or something, that's part of life. But you pick the child that you choose which one of these potty train or what, something stupid. I don't know what's the real logical reason. There ain't no logical reason.
There's no logical reason.
You a 4-year-old.
The fact is, you chose to have the child. You choose to own the responsibility of that child. And if you don't own that responsibility, you need to hand it to someone who is going to own that
You
responsibility.
lost all. You don't lost all power.
Yes.
And you sit in jail and right and think about it. Every day she sit in jail, she gonna think about that. It's gonna rise
You know
up.
what's sad, though?
I
I actually don't think she's going to think about it very much. Not for 15 to 20 years.
She don't think about that every day.
No, she's going to be so pissed off that she's in jail, she's going to think about killing that guy. I think she'll think about killing that guy. She's not going to care about her daughter. Because that guy put her in this petition. That's what she's going to think.
You know, they got no clue. Yeah, now you're gonna sit in jail. You might not be telling that, but you're gonna be privileged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And, man,
So there's no way I'm gonna put it on there before my kids. If my God comes first, then my kids in me.
you're
If they
absolutely
ain't
right.
in order, that ain't them going.
Right.
And I need to tell people that if I'm not invited, and my kids is not invited with me, if I can go somewhere with my kids, I'm not coming. They'll be like, you coming? Yeah. They'll know that, yeah, I ain't coming. I ain't coming, so I don't think with foolishness.
Right. No, and that's a good stance. And I wish more people took it. I wish people would stop letting themselves get manipulated.
That's wrong. I know that, but not biological mind, got help raise. Let somebody rest for a while. You know, we can smoke and see that thing, and I'm gonna be hotter than fish food when I get one year.
Right.
I do have a question for you, ma'am. What would you think about bringing paddling back into school?
That is a great question.
Ask for Jesus. We need to get some Jesus in school too.
You're right.
Yes.
Right.
I used to be glad when I was growing up in school.
Right.
Where did all this go? Can you answer that question?
the law, the man-made. They want to change the law.
Yep. Our politicians.
They're kids too good for something. Now, these are the same kids that they're too good for something. They're the ones that's doing all this trouble and shooting in school.
It is. And like, how many freaking school shootings did we have in the news today?
This is crazy.
This is ridiculous. We have. Yes. It saddens me because.
These things is crazy.
Yes.
We don't make an excuse for them. Just like the young man Shiny said when they really look at them, but I still ain't got the logic of that story.
You hit the nail on the head. We're making excuses. We're not taking action. We talk a great game. We talk a big game. You know, not us. We are taking action. But in general, the media, everybody talks. Everybody talks. They fearmonger. They do this. They do that. And they don't address the issue. They put a Band-Aid on it, and then 6 months later, 3 months later, it's fired back up.
3 kids by myself. I was not on a welfare system. I went to work every day. I made different children to society in the summertime. I don't think that was to the men's I made my kids for children to the 75 year kid. I took them out to nursing homes or children's foster homes. They have them sitting breakfast in the morning. I bought my kids.
I feel like we've lost that along the way.
My kids are 31, 22, and 22.
Yeah, I think. Do we have another guest joining us? Is that another guest joining us?
No.
Okay. What did you hear?
What I hear is the passion in your. Are you there, man?
Yes, I have a compassion for kids, for elders. You can't just disrespect the kid and then put somebody else in front of the kid. And what was he doing so much for you, but you had to cool in together to kill your child? First of all, you ain't cute.
What I was trying to get to, man, was I feel the passion. I could actually feel it come through.
Yes.
I could feel it in your voice. I could feel your passion. Now, if we can just take 1% of that passion that you have, just 1%, and let's, go out and make a difference in your communities and try to get all these politicians on board with just 1% of this passion that you have, and make them understand that, hey, we need to raise our children right, and make them understand. It quit making
They
these.
don't rule us.
It's come to that point where it seems like parents are shackled by their kids. Like, yes.
You see an issue. Handle it, do it. Don't wait till you get further down the river and then you lose your ass, you lose your boat. You know what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's out of hand now.
Well, hopefully we can reel it back in. Hopefully I hope we're not a day late and a dollar short.
We need to put the neighbor back in neighborhood.
I didn't know all this music stuff when I was growing up. I sure did. That's been like time to time when I was raising my kids. I ain't all this music. I tell my daughter, I'm so glad that you not like that, man. Abuse your kids because you mad because you can't do what you want because you can't spend your money the way you want.
But that's the thing.
You gonna put that on your kids. I wish you would. I wish you would.
Yeah.
You know, you lie with it.
Josh and I live right next to each other. Our wives are best friends. And guess what? We yell at our children the same.
Exactly the same. If I'm not there, I expect him to have my 6 and correct my child. I expect it. I would be disappointed if he didn't. And
I gotta look for 10 things. Two I gotta be in one thing, I gotta look for the third thing. 3 times. By the time I got home, daddy, mama got it.
oh, we got another caller. Hey, I want to take a moment. I want to say thank you so much for joining us. We got another caller. We're going to pick him up or pick her up, whoever it may be, him or her. So thank you so much, man. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you're back. I guess we missed our call. We had a little technical flip. That's all right.
Well, that's all right. I'm not going home, but I show you y'all taking my call. And
yes.
Y'all please, in my blessings. and my player keeping them better. I'm in the background for them. I'm a big cheerleader right now.
Mr. Garrett, we want you to know Dick Liberty, All Things American, Hood News
And I
Global.
love that song he made.
It's a beautiful song, isn't it? It is. It's absolutely beautiful. We're all behind him here. We're glad to add you to the team of support for this gentleman. Yes.
Pass it on. That's what I want to do. I want to pass my love on to you. I want to pass the love for God that I have in you, the light that shines in you. You tap somebody that's thousands miles away. Just praying for them. I'm a grandmother and a mother.
Yes, just keep your prayers going for Mr. Garrett and
stand firm.
Send that positive, strong vibe. I know he'll feel it, and we thank you so much for your call.
Thank you very much. You have a great night, man.
Yes, thank you.
You too. Thank you.
So, man, we got the calls coming in. This is a major issue. What do you think, Dilly?
I don't know how much more powerful that could be to the community. Just outreaching, and they're so upset.
Yes.
At the actions, or I don't want to phrase it, the non-actions of our justice system. It's so brutal to hear these stories that you and I have both been through.
Right.
Well,
I haven't been as much directly into it as you have, fortunately, but
I mean,
I've seen the effects of it because I've been there with you when it's been happening, and I hear you talk about it. We sit in the gas garage, we talk about these things, and I've seen you days where you're stressed out, flipped out, so angry because you feel like you're being profiled in a sense.
100%, and it's disgusting, and to see a child lose her life when the system has failed so miserably is absolutely disturbing and disgusting, and it's no. I can't even talk anymore because I'm so disgusted by it. It disgusts me so much.
It is sad, and like we talked about, there's so many. You get so many of these false calls out there. It breaks down. It adds to the case file, and they're calls that aren't. They're vindictive calls, is what they are.
Yep.
It's women who are mad because they didn't get their way with some things, or the parenting plan didn't go the way they wanted it, or so they're like, how can I stick it back to them? And I mean, especially military guys, especially.
We're the ones that we get the biggest raw end of the stick. Lack of better terms, we just do because we're always gone and we have to go. We got to do this, we got to do that, and when we come back home, it's like
everything's gone, cleaned out of the house, and you don't know what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
And then I've known plenty of vets who fought for their kids, just like Mr. Garrett. I mean, thank God they didn't have to deal with the death of a child during the process, but these are good guys. These are good men. These are good fathers. They're defending their country. They want to be with their kids, and they are every chance they get. But the vindictiveness and the women sometimes feeling burnt or soured or whatever they feel or however it tips off, just burns them and burns them and burns them. I feel horrible for this guy.
Yeah, it's me too. I can't even go any further with it because I'm so it's. I just want to shake my head, and I can shake my head all night. I can.
I think we have another call coming in. Is that correct? Hi, welcome to Dick Liberty, All Things American. What's your name? Hello?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, you have my deepest condolence, okay? And you hold your head, your baby, she's in a better place. She's not hurting no more. She don't have pain no more and stuff. But her mother, she was not no mother. And that boy, that man, whoever.
He's not a man. He's a boy. He's not even a boy. He's a piece of. He's scum. He's spawn scum. He's a shower shoe. All my military guys know what I'm talking about. He's a damn shower shoe. Period. Point blank.
Let me tell you. There's somebody that do when you bring a life into this world, you take a life out this world for no reason. Especially a baby, an angel. You're going straight to hell. You're going to go to hell. And you hold your head. Me and my family, my name is Joanne Hines, okay, I live in Arizona. You have my deepest condolence.
Well, we will definitely pass that on. We will pass it on to Mr. Garrett.
She's an angel.
She is. Okay. It's tragic. Thank you so much for your support.
All right, and I'm going to pray for you. Okay, you see my number? If you want to talk, okay,
You can call me
Well,
at any time.
You understand, it's not actually me, ma'am. It's Mr. Garrett. It's Mr. Garrett.
Yeah.
We're speaking on Mr. Garrett's behalf because right now I know he has mounds of insurmountable obstacles in front of him
Mm-hmm.
as he perceives it right now.
Okay.
And I know this is a strong man, and I know he's going to overcome this. And he
Mhm.
has a passion that burns in him, and you know he will overcome this. So right now we're trying to just build the biggest support community we possibly can to help this guy.
Okay. Okay.
And so we thank you for your call so much.
My oldest son, okay, his father got killed. My youngest son was with him.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He said his father got killed by this boy. Okay. And I was living in New York at the time. I live in Arizona now. My
Okay.
son was with his father, and this boy used to enter the room house, and this boy got mad because my son called the shop. Take out you and your girlfriend all in the outside. Okay, and my son is right here. He was fixing the hinges on the front door. The boy went in his room, came out and shot my fiance 6 times, straight in the torso.
What did he shoot him
In
with?
his brain, he shot at his temple, his brain when they came and got me. Okay. And
What did he shoot him with,
his
man?
brains and his teeth and stuff. But you be strong. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm praying for you. If you want to talk, you see my number. Okay, my name is Joey Hines.
Okay. Okay.
And God bless you. And your Lord, and you, she's in heaven. She's in a better place. I
Yeah,
see when you trying to get her, and when you ask her in the car, well, you gonna go home to mommy, or you gonna stay with me? She said, I want to stay with you. I want to stay with you. You said, I'm gonna call your mommy and tell your mom that you're gonna stay the night with me again. I've seen all of that.
It's very sad, and we thank you so much, man. You have a great night, okay?
Excuse me?
You have a great night, okay, man? Thank you
And
so
thank
much.
you for the phone call.
Thank
We
you so much for the phone call. We really appreciate
totally
it.
appreciate the support.
Thank
All right.
you. Okay.
There it is. The support just keeps pouring in, man. And
Yeah, it's definitely, this is way above what I ever thought was going to happen right off the bat, and it's so enjoyable to feel the support from
the community.
community.
I mean, we have
Yeah.
people across the nation calling in to give support for this gentleman. Like, that is what it's about, people. That's what it's about. It
Yes,
shouldn't have to come to an event like this to where it has to reach across the nation. All you have to do is reach across your fence and shake your neighbor's hand. That's all it takes.
Yes,
That's it. It's that simple.
exactly.
You know, so, you know, like I said, I keep bringing up this March 31st event. I really want to encourage our listeners out there to come to this event. If you're going to be in the Central Florida area, if you're here on spring break, if you live here, the local schools, we really encourage you guys to come out because it's a military showdown. It's for military support, veteran support. We want to help contribute to Mr. Garrett's GoFundMe so that we can give him more support, both compassionate support and financial support, whatever the struggle he's going to go through, because I know it's going to be a big one. And I'm sure in his position right now, he feels like that elephant I painted in that picture that you see in my living room. You know, he's that elephant lost in the dark right now with
Rightfully
his
so.
burning eyes.
Rightfully
And,
so.
yeah, and my heart goes out to him.
Yep.
Everybody's does.
I'd like to twist this to a positive point today.
Thank you. Let's do that, Dilly.
We've gone through the overpouring of support, and
Yes.
you know, I'm not saying this positive point or this school shooting today was a positive, but the positive point of the school shooting is up in Maryland, we actually had a school resource officer take down the shooter.
Yes, I saw that.
How awesome is that?
That is really awesome.
You know, that just proves.
That proves there's a need for this.
Yes.
That
100%.
proves we're not insane when we sit here and talk about let's get these vets back a purpose. Let's get them in our schools. Let's get them to protect the children, man. That's a perfect example.
You know, and you and I have discussed, you know, distinctively in the gas garage about conspiracy theories and
Yes.
all this other
Especially thanks to one of our buddies.
Yeah.
No offense if you're listening.
So is this part of the government that's trying to get us to make sure we turn in all our weapons and turn in all our guns? Well, today, just today alone, just proved the fact that having a weapon, just one weapon at the school that
Yep.
we know of so far,
Only one that we know of.
and it's saved how many lives?
Yes.
Countless.
And how many school shootings do we have today in total?
Well, it was just one that I know of.
I think there was one in Pennsylvania, or was it
That was
somewhere?
Maryland.
Maryland, I know that one. Yes.
Yes.
Wasn't there another one today or two?
Not sure. That's the only one I heard of.
Okay, maybe I'm mistaken.
But either way, that school resource officer went in there and he took care of business like a school resource officer should.
Yes.
A person with a weapon should, unless that Mr. Deputy Scott down in South Florida, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out and call you a coward. I'll call you out in front of the world. I don't care. I'll sit here. I'll stand right in front of your face. I don't give a crap because you are a coward, Mr. Scott. You can lawyer up and say that the county of wherever you're at down there, down in South Florida, where 17 people lost their lives
Because
17
you didn't go inside
Because-
to do your job.
because your protocol says, oh, I can't go in. I can't do it. No, what you were doing, you were sitting on your lazy ass waiting for your little retirement check over the next 6 months. You're going to retire for good.
Yeah.
Or maybe not even 6 months. Maybe it was a year. I don't even know what the retirement was. But we all know we're not dumb. And we sit back, we look like, oh yeah, we're going into this little cush job where I can sit back and I can
I can just ride my time. I got 6 months left.
What ifs? I'm giving a what ifs. I'm going to sit outside. What ifs? Guess what? You're a coward. And I hope the justice system. I hope you have to spend all your money for your house, for everything, for your legal system to make you go broke, so you become a freaking bum on the street. And then me and Josh and me and Mr. Dick Liberty. You know what we do? Our main focus is to take care of the homeless, our homeless vets, and we support our police officers.
Yes.
We don't support you. You're
Not
not
at
a
all.
police officer. You
You're
are
not.
not a police officer because you did not go in there. Now, once I find out that resource officer's name up there in Maryland, he's going to be my badass of the week.
Yes.
That's what he's
we
going to
will.
be. Because you know why? He saved countless lives.
We will reach out and call him and thank him personally.
Yeah, that would
I have no problem. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I'm for it, man.
because that Mr. Scott, you are a coward,
Coward, straight up.
straight up coward.
Yes.
And then I would also like to call someone else a coward.
Who's that?
The mayor of Baltimore, Maryland.
Why is that?
She sponsored. She allowed to spend $100,000 for the kids to walk out last week
Oh,
on
yeah.
March 14th
She did, man. She let us spend $100,000 to walk out to demonstrate.
to demonstrate gun control.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's backtrack a little bit. Is Baltimore not one of the brokest cities in the nation? The highest crime rates in the nation? Wait a minute. And you're going to allow to spend $100,000 for your students to walk out and demonstrate against gun control? How about you take that $100,000 and pay 3 guys, or
Yes.
how about 3 whatever, to protect your children? To protect your children for a year. $100,000 for the city of Baltimore. That's chump change. That's a drop in the bucket.
Right.
That's their taxpayer dollars. That's nothing. $100,000. Come on. Let's talk real business.
Right. Right.
We know $100,000 for a big city like that is nothing.
Right.
And for you to drop $100,000 to let your kids, or actually for allow them to protest gun control is a huge problem to me.
Yes, I agree with you. 100%. You're eating freaking.
Taxpayer. If
You're
I live
eating those pods from fucking the laundry soap one week, and then you're protesting gun control the next.
Yeah.
You don't even know not to eat laundry soap. Why do we need to listen to you about gun control?
Exactly.
Seriously. Like, or is this, oh, I'm famous for 10 minutes. Let me get on my Facebook and see how many likes I get. Well, guess what? That's an ignorant way to live. It's costing us dearly.
Mr. Blaine is just came across my Facebook live feed. Blaine Gaskell is the name that we think that is a guy up in Maryland that saved lives. And Mr. Blaine, I want to say thank you from my
Thank
heart.
you from the bottom of our hearts, Mr. Blaine.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the way to talk or to be about it, not talk about it.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Yes.
And you were about it. You were able to go in there and do what you had to do. And I'm glad you took that shooter and made him leave in a body bag. I am glad you did. I'd rather him go home in a body bag than go through the judicial system and cost our taxpayer dollars millions and millions of dollars to try this piece of crap that wants to go in there and try to shoot our kids, whatever it is.
Yeah, you have kids riding around skateboards and coming back and assaulting with weapons. You have people setting up trip bombs. Like, what the fuck is going on right now, man?
Exactly.
What is going on right now?
And all I have to say, Mr. Blaine, is thank you very much for saving lives.
Thank you, Mr. Blaine.
Yep.
You are going to be the next badass of the week.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes,
So,
you are.
you are going to be on Dick Liberty Wall of Fame. You're going to be the next badass of the week, man. Hats off to you. There's something I want to talk about that I caught this week, too, since I brought it up earlier, and that's that the Trump ruling on the death penalty for opioid dealers. What do you feel about that, man?
Yeah, I'm totally for it, especially with opioids or pills. Opioid pills are taking over for so much. You know, Josh is going up and down our streets every single day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
It's ridiculous.
There's a hotel at the end of our block that pumps out more of that shit into Daytona. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, you can have some marijuana and that's a Schedule 1. You got the opioids or Schedule 2 or 3, whatever you want to call it. But yet, the guy that's smoking pot is going to get more time than
the guy who's pushing his fucking heroin.
Yeah.
Seriously?
I have a problem with that.
Me too. Big problem with that.
Huge problem with that.
So I'm definitely for that death penalty for that shit on any scale. I don't care. You know, it's not only is it killing the users, like it's creating a wasteland. I mean, like I look at Fear of the Walking Dead and I'm like, oh, it's all the meth heads and the opioid guys. They're prepping for their casting call at Walking Dead. You know what I mean? Like it's disgusting, man.
It is. It's totally disgusting.
All right. One more thing I want to bring up. I want to bring up something that is also near and dear to Dick and Dilly's heart in regards to fraudulent charity shit. Okay.
Oh.
There was a story that popped out today, I think it was, about 4 people who lied helping vets in the Wounded Warrior.
Oh.
All right, scam. And they took and stole $150,000. 4 people indicted February 28th by a grand jury, you know, after a 3-year investigation by the U.S. Secret Service. Clark County Sheriff's Office, you know, they did an investigation into the Wounded Warrior scam, and there was more than 1,000 victims that were defrauded. The total amount, $150,000. Now, this sickens me. This sickens me. You know why? I'm a freaking Wounded Warrior alumni. You just tarnished and tainted my reputation by doing this despicable act. I don't care if you're watching. I don't care if you run this program. This is more than once that this program has been not only accused of, but convicted and found wrongful doing and fraudulent scams across the board. It's got to stop. Your CEOs are overpaid. Your workers are overpaid. 1% of your money is actually going to the goddamn vet, and that's sick. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. You and Christopher Blake, maybe you guys should hook up, man. Maybe he could tell you how to run the marketing. You know, like this is fucking ridiculous. And it makes the challenge harder for guys like us right here who are actually trying to get involved. We're going into different communities. We're trying to get involved in every way we can. We have a big thing coming up, man. We want people to be a part of this. It makes it hard. It ruins. It just makes it hard. I don't know what else to say. Like it makes it so hard to do anything.
Our number one mission when we were talking in the gas garage was just to simply help our homeless vets, help our vets, and just to move forward and to give back to what, you know. Fortunately, we have a great thing going, and some of these vets just they have no direction, and we want to help them.
There's no purpose. We are trying to create that passion for purpose. That's what we're trying to do here.
Just like earlier in the week, I told you I filled out a job application, a career application to become a veteran service officer for the county of Volusia County.
Yes.
Here in Florida, in Daytona, here in Volusia County, here in Florida, and I really want that because I want to help the vets. I want to have a program to where we, as a collective group, talking on this radio station, I come out here and say, hey, any of you vets that need help,
Reach out.
Reach
We're here.
out.
We are here.
you know, and it's we had a great time last week, you know, helping out one homeless vet that was Mr. Tim.
Yeah.
You know, he called
We
us
did.
up at 8 o'clock in the evening and said, "Hey, we're stuck.
They
Nope.
were abandoned by Mr. Blake.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
so 2 days after our first show, our first radio show ever, 2 days after that, we get a call by our very first guest with Mr. Blake, Mr. Wonderful from Second Chance. I'm not going to say he's a fraud, but my gut tells me that I can't trust him, so I won't do any further business with him. Whatever happens to him after this, happens to him after this. But the fact that we get called because they had nowhere else to reach out to, we're okay with that. We like that. That's what we want to do. You know, it was just sad that this guy tried to make his way in here to I don't know, maybe potentially exploit us. Who knows? Now, what if we ever scored a meeting before this story, or before we became aware of the story about the Wounded Warrior Project scamming $150,000 off people? They buy into the vision that we have and what we're trying to
Exactly.
accomplish. Now we believe in them because they're Wounded Warrior. They're big guys. They've been there for the soldiers, and then they rip us off and do this. Like, what is that?
We can't have that. That's one thing
No.
we're not into. We don't want to sit here and have to deal with people that are trying to
To rip us off. It's to
belittle
use
the
us.
system. Yeah, rip
And
us
to
off.
use the vets who don't know any. It's not that they don't know any better. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to sound like an asshole. Okay, but
Some don't.
when you were lost in that period of transition, sometimes things get the better of you. When you lose your brotherhood initially coming out of service, things get the better of you. That's why depression rate is so high. That's why there's so much PTSD. Like that stuff eats you up. It gets a hold of you. It tears you down. It separates you. It disconnects you from everybody and everything you've ever known. And yeah, so I can understand why they get lost. But when legitimate people who have a pure purpose and passion in their heart want to go help these people, and big name guys like this, like Wounded Warrior, scam and use people and dangle this sense of hope in front of these vets and get these vets to give them and commit everything to them, and then they just use them and put t-shirts on them and stand them out to make them look good and take pictures, and then they leave, and then the next 2 days later they're calling people who they just met to pick them up. No.
You know what grinds my gears?
What grinds your gears, Dilly?
That right there.
Yes.
That grinds my gears is fake, phony.
Fake bullshit.
Yeah. You know what were we doing when Tim called us at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening? We were about to eat dinner with our families,
Yep.
and we didn't even skip a beat.
No.
We didn't skip a beat. We said, "Hey, let's go get
Let's
him.
just go get them.
Let's go get him." And Mr. Tim, I said, "Hey Tim, what would you like to drink?" You can probably see this on the video. You actually can.
You can.
You can't see this on the video. He asked me. I asked him, I said, "What would you like to drink?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll take a beer." I'm like, "That's
No.
not what we're here for."
No.
I said, "You want a water? You want a Gatorade?" I said, "We're here to help."
You need some substance. We're not gonna feed you beer and crap.
No, that's
You want to deal with us, you got to play by the rules. We're gonna hook you up. We're looking for your best interest, not to
Yeah.
get you drunk and hang out.
no. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not your friend. I can be your friend.
Yes,
But
absolutely, it could be your friend.
I
But
can be your friend. But our big goal is ensure that you are taken care of, and feeding you a natural light is not in the best interest of
anyone.
yeah.
No.
Let's get you hydrated. I even bought you a Snickers. You got some
Yeah.
peanuts. You got some protein. You got a little bit of
Gonna be
chocolate.
hungry for a while.
So he was grumpy, so I fed him a Snickers.
Yeah,
So-
right. But no, we actually, speaking of that action, I do have some audio that I asked Tim and Megan if I could record, and I don't know if we have that ready to go or not, but we could potentially get it ready to go while we take our little break here. And it talks about their interaction with Mr. Blake and some of the things they saw while dealing with Mr. Blake. So I think we could potentially put that on, or we might do music. I don't know. We'll see. No, we're gonna play the audio while we take our break, and okay, we'll do the music, then we'll do the audio when we take a break. So we're gonna take a break now. We'll be coming back. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's such a privilege to work with the guys here at Hood News Global, man. They're a solid team. They're about neighborhood. They're about community. thank you, Junior, for letting us talk about Mr. Garrett this evening and letting us try and coordinate an event in relation to the one we already have going to bring some support for him.
The outs-
I'm gonna do everything in my power to try to, depending on his schedule,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do everything in my power to try to get him here for the birthday.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be trying.
Please do. Please
Reaching
do.
out to different sources, you know, see if we can raise the money to get. him.
We'll run security for him too, man.
Right, no
We got it covered.
So I'm gonna try everything I can, depending on how his schedule is.
Okay.
If he ain't got nothing set up, we definitely have him out here.
Okay. Awesome. We're gonna look forward to that.
That should be a great time, and hopefully we can cheer him up, like just like you tell me, Junior. You make me smile, dog. So, you keep me laughing, dog.
Yeah, anything to give this guy a warm embrace and bring back what America's about. You know, 'cause,
Exactly.
yeah, when we founded this country, we all had to rely on each other, and we've gotten so far away from that now. We need to bring that back, especially for Mr. Garrett. So join us on the 31st at the Showalter Complex while we're out there, and let's show this man a lot of love and support. All right. So amen to that. Thank you to all the callers. Thank you, Fantastic Sam's, One Daytona. We're gonna go ahead and take a short music break, and then we'll be back in just a bit. Thanks, guys. Take liberty, all things American.
She calls out to the man on the street.
I can't believe.
Sir, can you help me? It's cold and I'm is there somewhere you
Wow. What am I
can
gonna say
me?
about that? That's powerful shit.
He walks on.
That is literally some powerful shit. Powerful shit.
He pretends he
All right.
can't hear
Welcome
her.
to the promo video. The